had to take a break from the engine for myself that I was doing, so I had to jump over onto some matchlesses. I got 6 of them here, mostly for the Taylor brothers. One is for Malcolm at Classic British Spares, but I wasn't gonna show you doing these because I'm not really trying to get more of these. I usually only do matches about once a year, just because I don't normally get a lot. Again, the Taylor brothers have a ton of them, so if I did need one, I can just ask them and they'll give me 5 to do. But it's just, they're tedious. Nothing else shares the same radius on like the rod journals or anything like that. They do share the same radius on the center main as a Triumph. So once that's set up, I can kind of at least use the wheel to continue onto some Triumph stuff, which is what I'm typically doing anyway. So that being said, I'm still going to show you one anyway, but that doesn't necessarily mean I want you to send me one. I mean, if you do, you're going to have to wait, is kind of what I'm saying. But I've got this last one here. It's the worst of all of them, that's why I saved it for last, but it's already at 30 under on all 3 journals. So we're going to see where it cleans up. The radiuses don't look good. The center main is really worn, which is typical for these. I'll get this one finished, and then I have to go back and do all the center mains on all 6 of these. So I guess we'll kind of do that together. But we'll see how well this kind of works out as far as what I can show you guys. I know the last crank grinding video I did, it's hard for me to just shove my camera down into the coolant. I should probably get like an action camera or something so I can, just confidently stick it in the way of, in danger, I guess. But I'm gonna get this started, the setup, kind of show you here and there where I can. But we'll see how this turns out. Also, I kind of wanted to show, this was one that had the original radiuses still, and so my wheel went in and turned out very nicely. All 4 radiuses turned out exactly how they're supposed to. They're clean, they look great, I'm very happy with them. Same with this one, just that beautiful blend, matches factory. But then you have, like, I don't know if you can see, but like on this one you can see where there's like a step, and that's because you can see where my radius ends and blends into the cheek here, but then the old radius is still there, and so it creates this shelf. I don't like that. Obviously that's not preferred. It's actually on all of these, but that's because whoever ground it before me used a horrible, almost 90-degree radius on it, and so that makes it so I can't cut mine on top of it, because you can't use a fatter radius to remove a smaller, tighter radius. So unfortunately I deal with this a lot. A lot of these had improper radiuses in them because, like I said, it's not a common size, so not a lot of shops would put that into their wheel. The stroke is already set because obviously I've done the other 5 cranks, but it's just shy of 3 1/8 inches on the chuck. And then what I'm doing is I just throw it in, eyeballed, and then what I'll do is just indicate holding the one side, and then that gets me close enough. Then I'll bring the other chuck over and then actually zero it in. Double check that I'm not going to crash the web into my indicator. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see that, but I'm really far off, so I'm going to start by just kind of bumping it. We need to swing it away. It's way too close to me right now. I'm just going to touch the indicator because I know I was at least an entire throw off. So now we'll spin it up again. We're not touching. Okay, so there. Maybe you can see that gap, but there's probably like, I don't know, 1/4 inch between the journal and the indicator, we're safe. I'm not going to bend this, because that's one thing you have to watch is the throw on this is only so far. So if you're really off, if I come around, I can actually bend this indicator. So you don't want that, obviously. But I can see that gap. I'm going to come around, just touch off. Now I can kind of slowly bump it back that way again. It's going to look like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying to show you this because I'm concentrating on two things at once, but I just kind of move it away about half that gap, and then we'll come around to, you want to set your correction like zeroed out on the side you can't make a change. So I can't change it from this side. I'll zero it here, and then we'll see what it says on my. So we got quite a bit, almost the entire rotation. So we'll come out one rotation of the indicator, and that should get us kind of close. I'll zoom you in over the indicator once I start actually making some serious adjustments. Now we're about a 10,000th swing, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. I'll bring in the other chuck, and then we can actually start zeroing in that journal. Oop. I'm going to start showing you just kind of the swing of the dial, and then I'll show you the corrections I'm making. I don't think I'm going to be able to show them both. I was hoping I could kind of set it up, but you would be right in my way, so that's not an option. Now that you kind of get the idea from this angle, I'm going to move you around and you can kind of see what I'm doing. Once I start getting the stroke kind of zeroed in, then I like to adjust for like the swing, and actually can control the swing. So if the journal is too close or too far away, kind of like what we were doing when I very first was setting it up, I like to bounce back and forth once I kind of start to get closer and closer. So swing it around to the bottom, get your zero, come back to when I can lock it and correct. and we've got about 6/1000 of it being too close towards me. And so now I'm going to swing the crank so it pushes the journal away. Loosen the locks. And I'm going to put a little bit of pressure, and it slowly moves. See how that looks. Lock it back in. Swing it again. Got about 2/1000 movement, so 0 again. Come back, and we've got about 1.5 correction left, so lock it. And it doesn't take much. You can really overdo it. When you start really narrowing down. Obviously, 1.5 is not a lot. So every little movement really affects it. Okay, so we're at 0.5 there. So I'm going to stop, go back to my up and down stroke, I guess we'll call it. And we'll get that one kind of more perfect. Close to 0. Back. We've still got about 0.003 of it being too far away from me, so I'm going to still bring it in. We'll adjust it maybe another 0.000 and see how that translates. Just give it a bump. Another bump. This probably isn't going to be enough, but like I said, I really like to creep up on it. Okay, just shy of 2. I think we could probably get that swing just a little closer. So I'm gonna check that. 0 there. I mean, it's just 0.5, so I may leave that alone. And then our stroke itself, that's within 0.5, so I think we'll just stop there. It's definitely out of round, just from watching as it goes around, you can tell. But I'll show you what I got. I'm going to try and hold it as steady as I can while I spin this one-handed, but hopefully that's not too washed out and you can see what's going on. But if you really look close, you can see it kind of jumps around from plus and minus about 0.5. So diminishing returns, I'm going to end up playing with this thing way too long to get very little result. So I'm taking 0.010 off, so that 0.5 one way or the other does not matter. And honestly, it's not round anyway. So the last crank grind video, I don't know, I wasn't super happy with all the angles I got when I was editing it. I was blocking a lot of things. It wasn't a good depiction of what I was looking at. A silly like head-mounted camera would probably actually work way better, because a POV of what I'm doing is the easiest way to understand. But I'm gonna try a couple different angles while I'm running. Again, I can't talk while the machine's going, it's just too loud. I wear earbuds to block some of that sound out. But if for some reason you have a specific idea of what you want to see, say something, I'll try and do it, I guess. It's just like I said, without having a action camera, waterproof camera, whatever, I can't really just be cramming it down in here, getting covered in this gnarly coolant and stuff. So I'll try my best. We'll see how it turns out. Okay, so what we have here is now a clean surface for our steady rest to ride on. It's smooth, straight, everything we need to keep that from deflecting at all while we go and do all of our other work. I'm going to measure what I just ground on the right side here. We'll take that number and do our math as to where we're trying to get to. Again, this one was at 30 thousandths, so we're going to go to 40 thousandths under. So I'm going to see where we're at. Then when I know what we're measuring, I will put it into the grinder gauge, which I can't pull into frame. But once I get that all figured out, then we can go ahead and we'll grind this to 2 thousandths away from goal, and then we'll come back over to the left side, grind to 0, and then phase grind. So the other thing I want to point out, I don't know if you can see it from here, both of these radiuses are still raw blasted, because like I said before, what I've got in the wheel is the actual factory radius, which is 9/64ths, and whoever did this before me did some generic radius, whatever it is, I don't know, but we are not touching it because it is much smaller. So you may not notice it from here, but you'll see it later on. Okay, so based on the math, I need 6 and 8/10 thousandths shown on this gauge. I'm gonna also stop 2 thousandths early from 0, and so because of that, I'll get a second chance to double check my measurements. Okay, so I think we're pretty spot on. If you look, we're about a needle's width over the 2 thousandths mark. And if you look at our micrometer, we are about 2 thousandths, or 2 10 thousandths over our goal, which would be 1.588. So now that means, 2 thousandths left to go on that side. So we'll jump over to the left, grind to 0, and then phase grind. So I'll try and get that. We'll see how it turns out. I'm really nervous about having you guys in my way because I don't want to miss these numbers just to get a stupid shot. So we'll see what happens. Also, a little bit of self-defense insecurity here. I don't very often talk about this stuff with people, so it's hard for me to verbalize it. I'm sure I sound ridiculous trying to, talk you through it, but, I'll just keep trying. Yeah, so anyway, I think I have a chance to kind of show you how bad those radiuses look. I don't like this. It's always disappointing when this happens. It's not that big of a deal, just aesthetically. I mean, there is a radius, that's all that matters, really. The fact that it's not the factory one, it's a bummer, but it's not like this crank is going to break because of it. It just makes my work look less appealing. But anyway, that one's done. We're going to speed run this side. There's no reason for me to sit here and walk you through it. It's the same process, so maybe I'll do like a time lapse of it or something. So I'll zero it in and then get it ground. Then we're going to set up for the center mains. Wheel is ready. Now I can go back and do all of these center mains. They all have that groove down the center on the bottom side of the journal from getting hammered in that center web or crank support or whatever you want to call it inside the cases. But I'm probably only going to show you one of these because there's no reason to sit here and do them all. But I don't know which one I'm going to use. So I don't know. I'll measure them all and see which one I want to start with. Okay, as you could hear, it took quite a while before we actually got a clean cut, so I'm going to measure it, see where we're at. The goal was supposed to be 20, I believe. That's what Malcolm's note said. So we will see where it actually cleaned up at. Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't that great to begin with. A lot of these are going to be pretty rough, so I think this one was a good one to use as an example. It was at standard. He was smart by saying 20 and sending the 20 shells with, because we didn't clean up until 10. So worked out perfect. I am now going to take up to the 2.5 away from our goal, but we have 9.5 thousandths to remove. So yeah, it never would have cleaned up at 10. So going to 20, everything's looking good. I moved over to the right side, which is literally like nothing as far as to get over to that other radius. But we'll go ahead and grind it down and then jump back over and play that stupid game of going back and forth, even though I almost can do this whole journal in one shot. Well, it's pretty deep in there for you to see, but that's the last you're going to see of it until I go back and polish all of these. So I'm going to go ahead and get all the others ground, and then I'll finish this out with some polishing, and then we're done. So now you know what it looks like to grind a matchless crank. I'm sure it was very interesting, but I wish I could get in there tighter. Okay, this crank is done. Well, it's ground. Now I need to balance it, but I'm not going to film that because I don't have time. It's already time consuming enough, and if I try and film it, it will make it last forever. So hopefully this turns out decent. I need to get something posted because I haven't in a while. Soon we're going to get back onto my engine. I just needed to get through all of these matchless cranks so I could switch over to Triumph. So now that these are done, I can start doing some Triumph cranks, which means I can do my crank and we can keep working on my engine. So hope you enjoyed it. All these bad boys are done. Everything's been polished, so that dude will be happy.